2016, the son and namesake of former President Ferdinand Marcos yet again seeks to return to public office, this time to follow in the footsteps of his late father. Health Secretary Francisco Duque a no-show in the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee's probe into the management of COVID-19 response funds. That's after President Duterte ordered cabinet officials to skip the hearing, which some senators say is unconstitutional. And the world celebrates every student's second parent today, so we ask you, what is your favorite line from your teacher? Former Senator Bongbong Marcos ends speculations about his political plans and finally announces he wants to be the next president of the Philippines. Marcos is running under the pro-administration Partido Federal ng Pilipinas, or PFP. Our Rex Remito joins us live. Rex, how will Marcos's candidacy affect the race so far?
Well, the road to Malacanang is getting tighter with Marcos joining the presidential race. Unlike other presidential bid speeches, his lasted for only more than 2 minutes. It centered on COVID-19 response, which is expected to be the main issue in the elections. He says he will focus on bringing back the country on its feet from the pandemic. Among the main phrases that he used, unifying leadership and tama-sama tayong babangon muli.
I know that it is this manner of unifying leadership that can lead us through this crisis, get our people safely back to work, for all of us to begin to live our lives once again. And that is why I am today announcing my intention to run for the presidency of the Philippines in the upcoming May 2022 elections.
We have yet to know if the tagline unifying leadership is a response to those who are strongly opposing his candidacy, especially the anti-Marcos crowd. His announcement came after weeks of rumors of a possible tandem with Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte. It was even dubbed by his sister, Senator Amy Marcos, as a quote, marriage made in heaven. Marcos has the so-called solid north, while Mayor Duterte has strong support in Mindanao. With Marcos's declaration, however, we're not sure if the reported tandem is even possible. He has also yet to reveal his running mate for vice president if there will be one, although supporters are not giving up and still hoping Mayor Duterte will run with BBM soon. Marcos is running with the support of PFP, where he was just sworn in as its chairman this morning. He even led the blessing of his national campaign headquarters in Mandaluyong City. The PFP, which is a pro-administration party, earlier nominated Marcos as its standard bearer. The son of late strongman Ferdinand Marcos just left Nacionalista Party after a decade of being a member. Although PFP's general campaign manager Vic Rodriguez says NP will remain as an important ally. The lawyer explains they have embraced the policy of having the broadest political alliances. Marcos lost the vice presidential race by just over 200,000 votes to his rival Leni Robredo. Marcos is now second among the possible presidential bets in the latest Pulse Asia survey. Whether or not he will hold on to his strong standing in the surveys in the coming months remains to be seen. Back to you.
Rex, can you tell us what Bongbong Marcos's campaign strategy is going to be in the coming weeks?
BBM's camp remains mum on their next move. He has even yet to say on when he will file his certificate of candidacy. Marcos, however, says he will do his best to reach as many areas in the country as possible, although he will focus on social media campaigns given the limitations due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Yeah.
Rex Remito there reporting. It is no surprise that social media is abuzz about Marcos's presidential run. Hashtag BBM is my president 2022 and hashtag Marcos Magnanakaw were among top trending topics on Twitter. This netizen sees hope for the nation, saying, quote, Marcos pa rin. Another one says she wants to experience how the Marcoses lead the country. She adds, quote, sana magkaroon na ng disiplina ang mga Pilipino, unquote. But other social media users are up in arms. This This netizen says, ang perang, quote, ang perang ninakaw ng ama at minana ng anak ay gagamitin bilang makinarya niya sa pagtakbo, unquote. He adds, quote, we will never let hashtag Marcos Magnanakaw set foot in the palace, not now, not ever, unquote. Netizen goes on to say that Marcos is unfit, unqualified, and uncalled for. Another tweet of Akbayan Youth Chairperson RJ Nagit got thousands of likes. An online student congress by the Commission on Higher Education turned into a silent protest. Bongbong's son, Sandro, was featured as speaker for the event, but that did not sit well with participants. They changed their Zoom names to hashtags Never Again and Marcos Magnanakaw. Now, this took place before his father, Bongbong's announcement this afternoon. The younger Marcos is seeking a congressional seat in Ilocos Norte. The activist group Bayan also issuing a statement opposing Bongbong's presidential bid, saying it is an insult to victims of martial law during his father's regime. Now, those vying for elected posts next year have until Friday to file their certificates of candidacy. The Commission on Elections is calling on candidates for national positions to avoid the last-minute rush. Senior correspondent David Santos joins us live from Sofitel's Harbor Garden tent in Pasay City. David, tell us more about this appeal by COMELEC.
The poll body is expressing concern over what it says the perennial Pinoy culture of complying with requirements at the last minute, and apparently candidates for national posts are no exception. Now, COMELEC raised this concern during the inspection of PNP Chief Guillermo Elazar here at the Harbor Garden tent inside the Sofitel Manila premises this afternoon. Elazar seemed pleased over the security setup in this venue, particularly the deployment of his men, as well as the rigid processes everyone, including aspirants, need to go through to comply with health protocols. And while things have been going smoothly here for the past 5 days, officials are a bit apprehensive on what to expect on the last day of the filing of the COC.
Pinoy, yung last minute o yung last day probably, baka magdagsaan dito, pero nakahanda doon.
What if dumating kayo rito, kulang ang mga requirements ninyo, o mali yung COC ninyo, o mali yung mga supporting documents? You have time to go back and fix it. If pag Friday kayo pumunta, di na kayo makakabalik kasi mahaba masyado ang pila. So far, 26 presidential aspirants have filed their COCs, 6 of them today. This is relatively a small number compared to previous years. In 2015, 130 filed COCs for president, 20 of them on the first day alone. Only one candidate filed his COC for vice president today, bringing their total number to 8. Pia.
David, what about senatorial aspirants and party list groups? Any familiar faces who filed their COCs today?
Pia, there were 7 who filed their COCs for senator, while 26 submitted their certificates for nomination for party list groups. Overall, there are now 45 senatorial aspirants and 76 organizations vying to be among the party list representatives. Among those hoping to win a Senate seat is a controversial lawyer Larry Gadon, who spoke here against the Aquino administration and the so-called Dilawans, while the Magdalo party list it is hoping to retain its seats in Congress. The party list group, led by its founder and former Senator Antonio Trillanes, submitted its papers this morning and left without even saying a word to the media, Pia.
David Santos there reporting. Aspirants who filed their COCs today include Metro Manila mayors seeking re-election, one filed without fanfare, the other with supporters gathering despite quarantine restrictions. Our George Quiles tells us that story.
Authorities discourage mass gatherings when politicians file their certificates of candidacy. But this appeal seems to fall on deaf ears, at least for supporters of San Juan Mayor Francis Zamora. A marching band plays upbeat music as supporters gather at the local COMELEC office. Supporters at a mass before Zamora filed his COC were more than the limit for religious sites under Alert Level 4.
We made sure, number one, dito po sa misa natin, 30% lang ng simbahan na ma-occupy. Pangalawa, I spoke with our Chief of Police 2 days ago and everyone involved sa peace and order to ensure health and safety protocols.
Zamora is seeking re-election under the PDP Laban Kusi faction. His running mate is Vice Mayor Warren Villa. Their political rivals, the Estradas, are not yet making a move.
Ako po'y muling nag-hire na aking COC sapagkat ang San Juan po ay kinakailangan pamunuan ng maayos upang tuluyan nating maitawid ang ating lungsod mula sa pandemyang ito.
Basketball players James Yap, Don Aliado, and Paul Artadi, and actor Ervic Vijande are part of Zamora's slate for councilor.
Ano daw plano ko kung magre-retire na ba ako? So ang sabi ko naman, pwede bang habang kung papalarin ako, habang consular ako sa San Juan, pwede ba ako maglaro sa PBA? Ang sabi naman niya, pwede daw.
If the COC filing in San Juan ran the risk of a super spreader event, Quezon City Mayor Joy Belmonte and Vice Mayor Gian Soto filed their COCs without fanfare. Belmonte and Soto initially announced that they will file on October 8. They are expected to go head-to-head with the Nakalusugan Party List Representative Mike Defensor and Councilor Winnie Castelo. George Cahiles, CNN Philippines.
More questions and answers from the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee's hearing today as several government officials were no-show. Health Secretary Francisco Duque and other DOH officials skipped the inquiry after attending all 10 previous hearings. The probe stems from audit findings of the agency's management of COVID-19 response funds. Senate Minority Leader Frank Drilon had some questions for the Budget Department's procurement service, but no official was present. Blue Ribbon Committee Chairman Richard Gordon saying President Duterte, as a lawyer, should know that he cannot prohibit officials from attending hearings unless it involves national security issues or diplomatic secrets. Drilon said he will support a petition challenging the constitutionality of President Duterte's memorandum before the Supreme Court.
This has all the all the red flags of unconstitutionality. It only covers the House, the Senate. It only covers the Blue Ribbon. It does not cover other Blue Ribbon hearings, but only this particular Blue Ribbon hearing. This is really, if you want to call it, I cannot see any other memorandum as blatantly unconstitutional as what we have before us.
To those who are not present in today's hearing, we will see you in the budget hearings. So we may raise these questions in the budget hearings.
Senator Francis Tolentino, an administration ally, said he advised the president to let the Blue Ribbon Committee hearings continue in line with the separation of powers. The next hearing has been set for Tuesday, October 12. Now, the country will no longer accept new COVID-19 vaccine trials. The Science and Technology Department says it will opt to have studies involving a new platform or a new way of delivering vaccines, as well as a different population group.
For example, when I say bagong platform, hindi na to mga mRNA. Example, DNA vaccines is one, no? Isa yan sa titingnan. Number two, yung route of administration. Merong bakuna na titingnan na hindi na by injection, kundi by inhalation through the nose. So, medyo kakaiba. Kaya, ito yung mga bagong platforms, new ways of delivering the vaccine na titingnan, at saka new populations na titingnan din.
One of the new platforms recently developed is ZyCoV-D. It is the first human DNA vaccine against COVID. The vaccine will be delivered through the skin without the use of needles. Coming up on Newsnight, tropical depression Lani continues to drench provinces as it leaves 2 casualties, and netizens pay tribute to their mentors this World Teachers Day. More when we return. Stay tuned.
Next.
back to Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines. Tropical depression Lani leaves 2 dead in Cebu province. The Provincial Disaster Risk Management Office says an Indian national drowned while trying to cross a river in Consolacion town last night. In Carcar City, a minor also reportedly drowned while swimming with her friends when Lani hit land yesterday afternoon in nearby San Fernando town. Meantime, Pagasa says Lani is now nearly 400 kilometers west of Coron, Palawan. The tropical depression is not expected to gain strength and may leave the country tomorrow morning. Storm signals have also been lifted, but moderate to heavy rains are still forecast over Palawan, including the Calamian, Kalayaan, and Cuyo Islands. Light to moderate with occasional heavy rains, meanwhile, are expected over Cagayan Valley, the Cordilleras, Bicol, portions of Mimaropa, and Western Visayas. Breaking news at this hour: for the first time in nearly 2 months, the daily COVID-19 infections hit below 10,000. The health department recorded 9,055 cases today, pushing the total number to over 2.6 million. Active cases are at over 103,000. No update on the number of deaths again today because of technical issues with the COVID Kaya system. Now, a survey showing a significant decline in Filipinos' approval of the Duterte administration's performance in key national issues. In a poll conducted by Pulse Asia, the government had the biggest drop in its handling of rising prices of goods and services, or inflation, which went from 63% in September last year to 37% last month. In efforts to control the spread of COVID-19, approval ratings declined from 84 to 59% in the same period. Results also showing a 25-point drop for issues like fighting graft and corruption in government and increasing workers' pay. The administration's performance in reducing poverty, meanwhile, fell by 24 points. The administration still enjoys majority approval ratings on fighting criminality, responding to calamity-affected areas, and protecting the welfare of overseas Filipino workers, among others. The survey was conducted on 2,400 adults from September 1 to 6. Malacanang says the low approval ratings reflect the current economic situation, where millions of workers were affected by heightened quarantine restrictions. The palace says the government is ramping up vaccinations for the gradual reopening of the economy. The 2022 race heats up as more aspirants formalize their bids for local and congressional posts. With only 3 days left to file certificates of candidacy, Tristan Odalo tells us how the race is shaping up so far in the provinces.
In what could be a show of force and unity, Senator Ralph Recto expressed his support for the re-election bid of incumbent Lipa Mayor Eric Africa, who filed a certificate of candidacy on Tuesday. Africa highlights the need for continuity in leadership amid the COVID-19 pandemic.
Napakagandang pagkakataon na muli ko may pagpatuloy ang ating mga nasimulan na mga programa para sa ating kababayan.
From Lipa, Recto went to the provincial capital to file his COC for Batangas 6th District Representative.
Siguraduhin na tama ang paggastos ng pera ng buwis ng taong bayan, no? At gamitin sa tamang mga proyekto at programa. Pangalawa, nabanggit ko kanina, we have a continuing problem sa COVID-19.
The senator, however, remains mum on the plans of his wife, Batangas Representative Vilma Santos Recto.
Speculation shall rise beefy for Senator po.
Malalaman ninyo hanggang na-hit naman tayo.
Joining Recto and Africa's Batangas slate is the husband of vlogger Alex Gonzaga, Mikey Morada, who is seeking re-election as councilor. Over in Laguna, former journalist and Laguna 3rd District Representative Sol Aragones is challenging incumbent Laguna Governor Ramil Hernandez. House Committee on Health Chairperson Helen Tan will run for governor of Quezon Province. She will go head-to-head with incumbent Governor Danilo Suarez. House Speaker Lord Alan Velasco, on the other hand, formalizes his re-election bid as Marinduque's lone district representative. In Cebu City, the wife of former Tomas Osmeña will be running for city mayor. If she wins, Margot will make history as the city's first female local chief executive. Meantime, celebrity Richard Yap will seek a congressional seat in the Northern District of Cebu City. This is his second try to win a House seat after he was defeated in 2019 by the late Cebu Representative Raul Del Mar. Tristan Odalo, CNN Philippines.
Today, we honor teachers for their hard work amid the health crisis. AC Nichols sheds light on the challenges they face in their second year under the distance learning system in this report.
For years, teachers shape the minds of children and help them discover their passions. Not an easy job, especially under the current circumstances.
Kaming mga teachers, talagang we compensate, we collaborate with the parents on how we can help. So yun ang ginagawa namin, talagang constant communication.
There are at least 1 million teachers in the country, not including those in higher education. For many students, they've become like second parents.
Thank you po sa pagsusuporta at sa pag-uunawa. Na kahit mahirap po yung panahon, nagagabayan pa rin po kami.
Sila po ang tumuturo sa akin sa tama o mali. Sila po ang gumagabay sa mga ginagawa ko sa araw-araw.
Hindi po kami matututunan hindi dahil sa kanila eh.
In the new normal, Filipino teachers don't have to deal with overcrowded classrooms, but they face new challenges. Extra expenses for internet load, poor internet connection, and a different way of presenting lessons through a screen. But some challenges have always been there. At times, they feel overstretched and burned out. Many of them accept it as part of the job. They believe it's worth it when they see students moving up.
Nasusurvive namin dahil siguro dahil sa alam naman pag teacher ka, masyado ka resourceful ka, di ba? Kahit anong paraan gagawin mo talaga para kahit papaano maitawid mo yung hirap na dinadanasan mo.
In the meantime, teachers continue to demand higher wages and overtime pay. Amid the 2022 budget deliberations, they also appeal to Congress to give the Education Department a higher budget so that the agency can provide teachers the support they need, such as gadgets and other tools necessary in distance learning.
Ngayong new normal, nahihirapan pare-pareho. Pero kung talagang mas maraming suporta, both financially and also yung hindi late ang pagbigay ng mga kailangan namin, talagang malaking tulong yun eh.
AC Nichols, CNN Philippines.
As education remains in the blended learning or mainly online setting, so do tributes to remember our mentors and their unforgettable one-liners on World Teachers Day. On CNN PH Asks, netizens shared some of their favorite quotes from teachers. One Facebook user brought up the classic "get one whole sheet of paper" line, the telltale sign of a dreaded quiz. Another netizen recalls a teacher's challenge with a quote, "You look intelligent, all of you, but that remains to be proven," unquote. And a comment recalls the popular announcement that never fails to get students to celebrate, "Walang pasok bukas, may seminar kaming mga teachers." But now it's our turn to drop a line that all our hardworking teachers, educators, deserve to hear. Thank you, and happy World Teachers Day from everyone here at CNN Philippines. Still ahead on Newsnight, a Filipino social media personality shuts down haters as he champions gender equality in a magazine cover. And a Broadway icon is taking his talents to the streaming giant Netflix, a sneak peek of Lin-Manuel Miranda's directorial debut when we return. to CNN Philippines. Netizens woke up to news that 3 social media back online. Facebook assures users that there is no evidence of their data getting compromised after a 6-hour outage. The Facebook VP for Infrastructure released a statement explaining that disruptions in network traffic because of router configuration changes caused the glitch. Users reported Facebook login and connection errors and Instagram feeds not loading past midnight until this morning. The temporary shutdown comes just days after Facebook whistleblower revealed in an interview that the company tried to hide proof that it knew its platforms were being used to spread hate and misinformation. Facebook has pushed back against these allegations. And also, trending online, the latest Playboy digital issue shows off not only Pinoy representation, but also LGBTQ pride. Hawaii-based Filipino influencer Bretman Rock is the first openly gay man to grace the magazine's front page, and he is only its 3rd male cover model, following late founder Hugh Hefner and musician Bad Bunny. After getting flack from netizens who claim he was not fit for the Playboy brand, Rock posted more photos from the shoot to combat online critics. And before we go moving from the stage to the big screen, Hamilton playwright Lin-Manuel Miranda is making his directorial debut. The new Netflix film Tick, Tick, Boom tells the story of the creator of critically acclaimed Broadway musical Rent. Played by Tony Award winner Andrew Garfield, the lead, Jonathan Larson, is a young composer dreaming of writing the next great piece of American theater. Miranda was first cast as Larson in an off-Broadway production of the original play in 2014. He said he was honored to adapt Tick, Tick, Boom into a motion picture back in 2018 when the project was just taking off.
What does it take to wake up the generation?
It would be a tragedy to give up what you have.
Take off and fly. Zero love, baby, don't say the answer. Actions speak louder than
The autobiographical movie will be available for streaming on Netflix November 19. And that is it for now. Thank you for Newsnight. I'm Pia Ontiveros for Newsnight, where we go above and beyond. It is 81 days to go before Christmas.
RPN, Radio Philippines Network Incorporated, DXPO. Proses sa uso sa bayan sa inyong radyo. RPN DXPO, ang Radyo Ronda, dini sa latayan sa Cagayan de Oro. Sigahan na may dalaon sa katawan, ang daw serbisyo sa tanan. Ang RPN DXPO Radyo Ronda, sakop sa KBP, kapisanan ng mga broadcaster ng Pilipinas.
You look at yourself in the mirror and you realize your eyes are red. They're also teary, itchy, and painful. You might have pink eye, also known as conjunctivitis, which is highly contagious. Many of us refer to it as sore eyes. But the term sore eyes can actually mean any number of conditions caused by various factors. Here on MedTalk Health Talk, we'll talk about the different types of sore eyes, what's causing them, and how they can be treated. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez. You're watching CNN Philippines. Whether it's an infection like conjunctivitis or eye strain from too much screen time, almost everyone has experienced sore eyes at some point. Technically speaking, sore eyes can refer to conditions that cause mild to severe soreness in your eyes. It can take many forms. So how can you tell which type of sore eyes you have? To tell us more about this, we have Dr. Eric Chongson. He's an emergency medicine specialist and consultant at the Asian Hospital Department of Emergency Medicine. We're also joined by Dr. George Ko Jr., an ophthalmologist and eye center director of Chinese General Hospital and Medical Center. Thank you both doctors for joining us here today. Now, when you hear the term sore eyes, a lot of people immediately associate it to pink eye or conjunctivitis because it's very common. And many of you who are watching us may have experienced this at one point or another. But what really happens to the eyes when you have conjunctivitis? Can you answer this first, Dr. George?
Sore eyes can take many forms. So actually, sore eyes, soreness of the eye is, I have a diagram here, okay? This is your eye. So it is enveloped by a thin membrane. And then during sore eyes, this thin membrane becomes swollen. It's red and engorged. The blood vessels are engorged. And there are many causes. No? It can be viral, which takes up about 80% of the causes of conjunctivitis, 20% bacterial. And then there are other causes like you mentioned, Dr. Freddy, from eye strain, digital eye strain from using too much of your gadgets when your eyes get dry. And then there's also allergic conjunctivitis and irritating conjunctivitis from smoke, from dust.
Okay, so ang mas common talaga, Dr. George, viral type of conjunctivitis rather than bacteria. Let's remind our viewers, Doctor, kung ano bang difference ng virus at ng bacteria?
So viral conjunctivitis, well, we are quite familiar at this time, no, because of COVID. It's a viral infection, so it's an infection from, actually, it's not an organism, but it's a RNA particle. And there are also viruses that cause a lot of redness, such as adenovirus during the flu season, the influenza. And then bacterial are caused by bacterial organisms which contaminate the eye. For example, you go swimming. For example, you rubbed your eyes from having contaminated fingers and from contaminated surfaces. Then the allergic is from irritants in the environment.
Okay, that's good that you mentioned the different ways in which these viral and bacterial types of conjunctivitis can be obtained. Dr. Eric, can you explain to our viewers what is the most common way para naikakalat itong sore eyes?
The most common type of conjunctivitis is really the viral type. And as we know right now, as we're dealing with the pandemic, a virus is caused through droplets. So a lot of times, the same way COVID is spread, viral conjunctivitis is spreading the same way. Nowadays, to tell you honestly, in the emergency room, we have seen a dip in the cases of conjunctivitis. Maybe it coincides with the fact that we've been preaching hand hygiene a lot. Viral infection is really spread through airborne particles, and whenever you cough, sneeze, touch something, and then touch your eyes, that's how you get these kind of organisms.
It's good that you mentioned conjunctivitis and how it is spread, and it's similar also viral, just how COVID-19 is. But do we know now, Dr. Eric, is conjunctivitis or ang sore eyes ba ay pwedeng simptomas din ng COVID-19?
Well, that's a very good question, Freddy. The thing with COVID right now is the main symptoms are really respiratory. So if you see a patient purely with complaints pertaining only to the eye, without the respiratory symptoms, without the cough, colds, and fever that comes with COVID infections, then it's the risk of having COVID-19 illness is really high. If they have those illnesses with the conjunctivitis. But if a patient comes in with just purely a pink eye or redness in the eye, itchiness in the eye, without the respiratory symptoms, in all likelihood, this is just purely conjunctivitis, either viral or bacterial.
Okay, very good. Now, the good news is pink eye, more often than not, is rarely serious if treated early. Dr. Ko, what is the proper treatment for conjunctivitis?
The sore eyes, which is viral, usually you just wait it out. You apply a cold compress and then isolation. Hygiene, of course, like Dr. Eric said. You have to be very clean. Make sure you do not contaminate other surfaces or other materials that may come in contact with other people. For bacterial, we can use antibiotics, topical or oral treatment if needed. But both is best seen by an ophthalmologist or specialist so that they can determine which is which and what kind of treatment is best.
ultimately, practicing good hygiene is the secret to preventing pink eye from spreading. Dr. Eric, what are some of the good hygiene habits to help prevent pink eye that you can advise our viewers?
Well, I mean, like I said, it coincides with the pandemic that we have now. Now, basically, if you're doing what you're doing to prevent the acquiring the COVID disease, that's exactly the ways of preventing this illness as well, preventing conjunctivitis. No? So if you just wash your hands all the time, make sure that you avoid rubbing your eye if you have irritation or pain in the eye. Avoid touching your eye, and that should prevent a lot of the complications associated with conjunctivitis. But again, the mainstay here, I mean, if you just do hand hygiene often and a lot, and you make sure that you clean your hands well, we shouldn't have a problem with conjunctivitis.
And your eyes can also get strained or sore due to overexposure to screens. This is happening a lot these days, especially with our work from home setup. When you're staring at your computer screens all day or your gadgets, or many even spend hours texting away on their phones. We'll discuss this after a short break. We're your connection to healthcare here on MedTalk Health Talk. Stay with us. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez. Welcome back to MedTalk Health Talk, where your health comes first. Itchy red eyes don't always mean you have pink eye or conjunctivitis. There's also a condition known as digital eye strain or computer eye strain, and this can cause vision as well as eye problems. We'll discuss why this happens and how best to treat it. If you spend too long staring at a screen, more often than not, you'll start to notice dry or your eyes becoming very red, maybe even blurred vision. Dr. George, why does this happen kapag matagal na nakatingin sa screen ng mga tao?
Primarily, at this time, no, the reason why we get this irritation because we do not blink too much, we stare too long, and then the positioning, the light source from the computer screen might be too bright. It causes strain. And then there's this, what we call the blue light effect. There's a very minimal blue light that comes from our screens, no, and they cause quite eye strain also, or we say eye fatigue. So there's fatigue when you're looking too long at a certain screen.
Now, Dr. Eric, a lot of people who have this eye strain while staring at their screens, but what type of symptoms should they be wary about that may require more professional care or a visit to the emergency room?
Well, in the beginning, of course, all these things, when you have discomfort in the eye, a little bit of redness in the eye, they all overlap. No, it could be a strain, it could be conjunctivitis, beginning conjunctivitis. But the key here is after eye strain, after you've rested for a while, when you wake up after a nap or after you've rested, you should feel okay. But if it persists, and of course, if, like Dr. George said a while ago, if there's some discharge which could indicate a bacterial infection, it may be time to visit us at the emergency room.
Yes, that's right. So, but for any symptom or any treatment, always consult your emergency room specialist or your ophthalmologist, especially when it comes to your eyes. Now, it isn't just the long hours of screen time that causes eye strain. There are other factors that could be making your vision worse. Dr. Ko, what causes digital It's easy to take your eyes' health for granted, but with overexposure to screens nowadays and other possible causes of sore eyes, there are things you can do to care for your eyes and ultimately improve your overall well-being. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez. You're watching MedTalk Health Talk on CNN Philippines. Our eyes are very delicate and complex, and nutrition plays a key role in keeping them healthy. For example, many say carrots are a good source for eye health. Now, Dr. Eric, what types of food can you recommend to our viewers that can help improve their eye health?
Vitamins like vitamin C help a lot as far as the nutrition of the eye. Zinc, I know, is a nutrient that is very important as far as the eye is concerned. You know, if you take your multivitamins every day, take your leafy vegetables, leafy green vegetables, and like you mentioned a while ago, carrots. If you eat healthy, a balanced diet, I think it'll follow that your eye will also be healthy.
Very good. Now, Dr. George, on to you. What kind of tips can you give our viewers when it comes to overall eye health?
Aside from vitamin C, another good vitamin that we should not forget is vitamin A and E, and the omega-3, the fatty acids, which are present in fish. Also, fruits and vegetables are also rich with vitamins that can help our eyes. And what's more important is enough rest, enough sleep. So sleeping is also important because that's the time when you can rest your eyes. And of course, adherence to the protocol of not using too much of your eye and your gadgets and taking long periods of break and rest.
Okay. Now I want to talk quickly about dry eyes naman, because if your eyes are dry and dehydrated, your vision can also be affected. Plus, you would be feeling very uncomfortable. Dr. George, what are some of the symptoms ng dry eyes?
Okay. So dry eye is quite common nowadays because of the digital eye strain. It comes with using your gadgets too much. So dry eye is a condition wherein the tear production may not be enough, or the evaporation of your tears is quite fast, so it leaves your eye dry, leaves your eye blurry. There are some gritty sensation. Usually happens early morning when you wake up or during the time that you're using your gadgets. When you don't blink too much, then the eyes begin to strain, and sometimes, of course, it gets red. Quite common also with people, older people, and also quite common with people past menopause, hormonal changes. If you're taking anti-allergy medications, that's also quite common that you get dry eyes.
Now, if you experience unusual problems that are causing pain or discomfort, such as itchiness, or your vision is affected, go see your doctor. Thank you, emergency medicine specialist Dr. Eric Chongson and our ophthalmologist Dr. George Ko Jr. We appreciate your time very much. We're here to help build a healthier future for you. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez, and thank you for watching MedTalk Health Talk, only on CNN Philippines.
RPN, Radio Philippines Network Incorporated, DXPO.